Hello, everybody.
Wait. Go.
Hi, everybody. This is Amie Coplan from Monroe County, Ohio, Bigfoot enthusiast. And you may not know me by my face, but I'm here with Paul Frazier. Paul, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Frazier, yeah.
Frazier, okay. I am here with Paul Frazier, and he recently was kind enough to share an audio that he captured. And I'm going to let Paul talk most of the time and have some questions.
You might regret that.
No, not at all. No, I'm so excited and so happy that you agreed to do this. Thank you. What an excellent idea. Paul is the one who he said that maybe try to Zoom and try recording this. So this is my first time on Zoom. Thanks to Paul. I somehow we connected through this. So Paul, may I ask just the general location? How was there the Old Stone Church Trailhead in
Yep.
the Wayne National Forest?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Reporting live from there.
Reporting live.
I have a green screen. I put up a green
Oh.
screen and I put that behind me. I thought that would help for people that would recognize it.
How blessed I am to the first time I've ever done is to have someone that has much more knowledge than I do. So this is where this event happened.
Yeah.
In that you've been, what county is that in?
Let me think here. I should know that. Perry County.
Perry County.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
It's just outside of New Straitsville. I mean, like 10 minutes out of town.
Oh my. Okay. Okay. So what I'd like to ask you is, before you captured this audio, did you have an interest in Sasquatch or what?
Yeah, that was really the whole purpose of me even going.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, when I was a kid, real young, well, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, Patterson Gimlin film came out, I think it's 67, if I'm not mistaken. And I would think I was 4 years old at the time, but I remember it was a big deal and it was on TV, on the news. And it just blew me away when I saw it, 4-year-old boy thinking, what is that thing? And so that kind of I had a fascination from that. And then when I got older, got in school, I remember reading a book called The Yeti. I think that was the title. And it was just talking about what sounded like a Bigfoot that was, in the Himalayas. And I think it even mentioned about how there's these Tibetan monks that have a finger that they found, a skeletal. It looks like a human finger, but it's like this long.
Right.
And so, I had that idea that, I wonder if this could possibly be real. Of course, I thought it was in California or up in the Himalayas. I had no idea that people were seeing them in Ohio and other places. And I just had that fascination when I was younger. And I've always kind of kept an eye on it. And if I heard of something on the news, it was interesting. And I remember actually where I'm at right now, just outside of Dayton, I think it's called Jefferson Township. There was a report on the news. I'll have to find it. I think it's on my old desktop computer that I saved it. But they had a report that they were hearing this howling sound for it was like 2 weeks. All of the people around here were hearing it, and they actually recorded it and they played it on the news. I'll have to see if I can find that. And
interesting.
Yeah, the Department of Wildlife said they came out and they had no idea what it was, and they kept hearing it at night here in this area. And there's been a lot of sightings even in this area, which we don't have forests, we don't have a state forest, we don't have a national forest. We have some parks that are forested. Well, I call those woods. I don't really call those forests, but there's a place I've been going to close to here. I take my dog with me, and let me see if I can share that. I'll share a picture of him. I think I have it here. See if it'll work. Can we see that? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my dog. His name's Tank. He's like a miniature Rottweiler. He's only
Oh,
less than 50 pounds, but he's all muscle, as you can see.
oh, I can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a cutie.
He's real lovable. He's not ferocious like people think of Rottweilers. He's not that way at all. But anyway, I would take him with me, and I'll show you something that he's real good at finding stuff. Let's see if I can, wait a minute, hold that up here. I haven't used Zoom in a long time, so it's taking me a little while to
You're
find my way
better than
around.
I did.
There it is.
You'd be better than I did. Oh, wow.
He found that coyote. We went to a place that's called Woodland Trails, and it's outside of Camden, Ohio. It's about 40 miles for me to drive there, but it used to be
Wow.
a Boy Scout camp, and I think it's a couple hundred acres of woods. And the Department of Natural Resources, I think, bought it because it's now like a public hunting area. So I like to go there because there has been sightings over there in that area, but it was like back in the 80s, I think. But so I walk around there just with him, and he found out. I walked right by it. It was just off the trail a little ways, and I didn't even notice it. But he finds stuff like that, dead deer. So it's good to have him with me.
So may I ask, did you check this coyote out?
I called the Department of Wildlife and told them where it was at in case they wanted to check it. You know, it looked like it had died just a few hours earlier,
Right.
is what I
Right.
thought. In fact, he acted like he was wanting it to get up and play. It's what he was acting like. But
Right.
yeah, I thought maybe it might have died of starvation. I didn't see any blood where it was a long ways from the road, so I don't think it got hit.
No injuries.
Somebody may have shot it, but I didn't see blood anywhere. So I think it may have died of starvation, or maybe it was sick. I don't know. But I called the Department of Wildlife and told them where it was at in case they, had an interest in checking it out.
Right. Right. Wow, that would be an interesting find, definitely.
But going out there, the only thing I've ever found that was really out of place or odd was I found a tree. It was about probably 4 inches in diameter, and I would guess it was close to 30 foot tall, and it was bent like in a perfect arch. It curved all the way around, and then it was stuck into the ground. I mean, it was stuck into the ground where there was a log. So but the log looked like it'd been there for years. So it's possible that a tree fell over and made it, but it just seemed really odd to me because I don't think I could have bent it over like that. It's a pretty stout tree, and I don't know, just that seemed out of place to me.
Yeah, I always say when in doubt, take a picture.
Yeah,
It doesn't hurt to take pictures.
I do have a picture. I don't know if I have it on this. It's probably on my phone, but I also found I could share them in the group sometime. I found
That would be
also
wonderful.
at that same location, there was a tree laying down, and there was a whole bunch of sticks all leaned up against it, and logs that were like the trees laying here on the ground, and they were all laying like this all around the log, which I thought was pretty odd. I shared it on Reddit in a Bigfoot group there, and people were pointing out the fact that the several of the logs have been cut with a chainsaw. So right away they said, well, that's human, that's not anything else. But there's logs all over that place. What it is,
Right.
this place that I'm talking about right now, that's not where this coyote was. It was close to there, a few miles away in a little town called Camden. And there's an area, it's called the Devil's Backbone.
Wow.
And it's a
An
park.
interesting name.
Yeah, it's I think it's 20 some acres of woods that a family donated to. This is Preble County, Ohio. They donated it to the parks, and it's closed. They don't have the money to really do anything with it right now. So they have it closed. And I called the parks department and asked, because I like to take Tank there because he can run. There's never anybody there. So I just take him and let him run around.
Right.
And so I got permission to go back there. And that's where I found that.
Oh, that's interesting. And just because they're cut, you must remember that just because they're cut
Yeah.
doesn't always necessarily mean that
Well, it looks like
that it's not something else that has taken advantage of that firewood.
they were cut years ago. It doesn't look like they were
Right.
cut recently. So
Hmm,
they're
yeah.
laying all over back in there. So,
Really interesting.
but
So
you
you
know, that
definitely have an interest in Sasquatch before you captured this audio.
yeah, that's
Okay.
I've been retired for a few years, and now that has been my hobby to kind of I've always liked nature and going out in the woods. So
I
that's
can relate. I
been my new
myself
hobby.
retired, right? And that's my hobby is Sasquatch. And that's why I started this group. I started it because I think that people have experiences that they just don't know what to do with.
Yeah,
And
because
they think that they're crazy or, you know, and so I want them to know that they're not.
right.
That other people are experiencing, seeing, hearing, and smelling the same thing.
Well, I remember when I was in high school, uh, after a football game, we found this house. It was out in the outside of the town there, out in the country, and it was empty. It'd been vacant for years, and it had a cable across the driveway, and the driveway went way back into the woods where this house was. Pretty good walk, and it was just something spooky. So I remember me and some friends, we went back there with our flashlights, and there's an old barn there. We walked past the barn and we got to the house, and we went in the house and we walked all around inside the house, and it was just something spooky, you know, teenage kids. We thought it was fun. And then I was telling some other people about it after a football game and asked them if they wanted to go. So they're like, yeah, let's go. So we all parked there at the driveway where that cable was, and we walked back. And when we got past the barn, we all stopped, and I said, well, right there's the house. And I said, let's go. And they're like, they were all scared, and they're saying, well, you go first. So I started walking back there to the house because I was there just like a week earlier. So it wasn't that big a deal. So I started walking back there to the house, and there's like an old sidewalk that goes up to the house. And when I got up to the sidewalk, I thought I saw, it looked like a person coming out of the house.
Oh my.
And they looked a little bigger than me, but you know, it just looked like a person. I could just see a shadow, just the silhouette of a person coming out of the house.
Wow.
Down the steps. And I had a flashlight, but I didn't have it on. So I hurried up trying to grab it out of my pocket. And when I turned it on, it was so weird. It sounded like 4 or 5 people running in different directions. You could hear them.
Really?
Yeah, it was in the fall, and you could hear them on the leaves. They're like, you could hear all these footsteps, and I couldn't tell what direction. I was just shining a light all over. I never saw anything, and they never saw anything. I don't even know if they heard it because they were quite a ways back. But at the time, you know, I just thought, well, it was somebody in that house. Maybe they were doing drugs in there, or I don't know. But then after, you know, now that I think back about it,
Hindsight.
Could have been something else that came out of the house.
It sounds like you've had just enough, like myself, you've had just enough situations or experiences just to keep you interested in the subject.
Yeah.
And so now you pretty much had a full-blown experience. I feel you may have, others may disagree with that, and that's okay. But so what I'd like you to do is, if you would, well, let me ask you this, Paul. Have you had a lot of experience in the woods? Do you feel?
Well, I'll tell you.
In the past, or
I'll tell you about since I've been going out there to the place that with my dog, going out there a lot, and I wanted to go to some actual forests like I took my wife, we went to Zaleski State Forest just so I could kind of scope it out. And we went to what's it called? King's Hollow Tunnel. I don't know if you've been there, but it's
No, I have not.
pretty neat. Back when there was a lot of coal mining and stuff, and the railroad ran through there. They built through one of the hills. I mean, it's almost what you call a little mountain, but it's a pretty good sized hill. And they built through the hill, they built a tunnel, and they used old railroad timber to build it. And it's in the forest. There's Zaleski State Forest. They made the railroad into a hiking trail. So a lot of backpackers go there. And there's also a tunnel called Moonville. But the reason I wanted to go there is I read a story recently about a homeless guy that was staying there off of King Hollow Road in the forest. He was homeless, so he was living in a tent in the forest, and he was trying to find a job. And he went into town to get something. And when he came back, his camp was all ransacked, and he thought it was another homeless person that did it. And he was pretty mad. So he started picking up his stuff where it was all thrown everywhere. And he said he heard something walking behind him, and he thought it was whoever did it. So he had been picking up these cans, like cans of beans or whatever. He was going to throw it at the guy. And he said he felt a rock hit him in the back. And he turned around to throw that can, and it was this huge creature.
Wow.
And he said he took off,
Terrifying.
and it chased him a ways, and he got out of there. But
Terrifying.
so that's what made me go. I wanted to go check out that area. And then I started doing some more research, because my thoughts are, you see sightings where it's in populated areas, and you're thinking, well, there's no way they live right there by this town where all these people are and everything, a busy road and all that. Well, my thoughts are that they move constantly and search out areas where there might be berries or nuts or something, and then they move on. They may only be there a couple of days or whatever, and they're constantly moving around finding these food sources. And that's why a lot of sightings are where they're crossing a road. And I think they travel like creeks and riverways. There's always trees all along there. So even through populated areas, they could go at night through those areas and not be seen.
Oh, definitely.
From
Yeah,
one,
definitely.
go from one area to another. So
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful theory, and I would agree with you. I also think that we are encroaching on their uh, on their area. We just keep building further and further out, and
all right.
have
Yeah.
no choice but to walk through our neighborhood or what have you. So you feel like you've been out in the woods a good deal. And,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna
this
say,
was different than what you'd ever experienced before.
yeah,
The
like
sound.
uh it was like, let's see, it's been about 3 weeks ago now
Okay.
that I went to Vinton Furnace State Forest, and that's down in Vinton County, Ohio. And I was doing research because, like I was talking about with the migration patterns and them moving around, my theory is like in winter, when there's no tree cover, really, all the leaves are gone, that they go into deep woods or deep forest and wait out the winter until spring, when everything starts growing back, because that's the only place they have cover.
I would agree.
So I found out Vinton County is the least populated county in Ohio, and there has been
Really? Okay.
there's been a lot of sightings down
Interesting.
there. MacArthur is a very small town near where there's been sightings around that area. And where Vinton Furnace is, the forest, it's south of there, and it's actually the least populated area in that county. So that's why I chose it. I thought, well,
Okay.
to me, it makes sense that they would go as far away from people as they could be when there's no cover.
Right.
So,
Interesting.
so I drove
Did
down
you have
there.
any experiences down there?
Well, I drove down there with my dog. It was just me and him, and I was going to sleep in the back of my truck. And I drove back. It's like gravel roads quite a ways, and there's no houses. I mean, it's nothing but forest. You drive several miles back in there, and then it becomes like dirt roads, and it's way back. And then there's like a gate where they have it blocked off, but it says foot traffic is welcome. But the funny thing is, they say the forest closes at 11 p.m. and opens again at 6 a.m.
Wow, that
I-
is interesting.
I thought that was kind of funny because it's
Yeah.
different than national forests. State forests are a lot more strict, it seems like, on rules and stuff. So I probably wasn't legally allowed to sleep in my truck there, but I did. I went back there and where that gate was across, and it was pretty wide there. So I pulled off the road where I wasn't blocking the road or anything. And I got out there with my dog, and it got dark, and I had a folding camping chair, and I just sat there in the dark with him. I brought his little bed with him, and he was sitting on his bed next to me, and we were just sitting there. And
Brave.
I was really surprised at how dark it was. I mean, there was no sound, and we were just sitting there, and all of a sudden he jumped up barking and growling and took off in the darkness. I don't know what he was
wow.
growling at. So I shined my light over. I didn't see anything, and I got him to come back. And then it surprised me because usually he stays right with me. And so when he took off like that, that got me thinking I better keep an eye on him. And I thought I better keep him. We were going to sleep in the back of the truck, so I ended up getting him in the front with me in the cab so he couldn't run off like that. Because right now is Coyote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's when they do a lot of
Yeah.
the when they're in heat and everything. And that's one of the things they'll do is draw a dog to the pack, and then the pack will kill the dog. So
Yeah, unfortunately, my daughter had a dog that was killed.
so thinking about
Yeah.
that, I thought, well, I better keep him in the truck with me. So I got in the cab, and it was about 10:30, and I cracked the window on his side so he could hear in case any sounds or anything. He'd hear it before I would. And then I have my same recorder. It's actually this recorder right here. This is the one I recorded the sounds with. It's
Okay.
it's made by Zoom, and I don't know if you can see, but these are studio quality condenser microphones in the top.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good quality recorder. I had it sitting
Yeah,
out
it
on.
sounds like it is.
I had it sitting out on the front of my
Yeah.
truck. And it was about 10:30 at night, and I have a solar generator I use I have a CPAP,
Oh,
and
me too.
I just put it on, and I was going to go ahead and try to go to sleep. It's about 10:30. I laid on the seat, and he's laying on the seat next to my legs, and I was just starting to nod off, and all of a sudden he jumps on me, barking his head off, and I raised up, wondering what he was barking at, and I see these headlights coming back to me, and I could tell it was a pickup truck. And I thought, oh, great, it's Forest Ranger. He's caught me. And it just circled around real fast and took off, drove out of there. And I was thinking that'll be one of those campfire stories they'll tell for years of the weird creature they saw in the woods, because my head came up over the window with the hose coming out, and my dog's up on me behind me with his green eyes glowing in the headlights. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
it's hard telling what they thought they saw, but
Right.
other than hearing a owl call, that was the only thing I heard the whole night there.
Well, you're a
And
brave guy. Wow, I don't know. I don't think I could do that by myself. But so tell me about this night
Okay,
you
now
captured this audio.
getting to this night, that was really something. We had planned this trip because I was waiting for some good weather, and it's so far away. I wanted to go for like 2 nights because it's 2.5 hour drive to get there. So I wanted to, try to stay 2 nights and really kind of get to look around. And nothing went like it was supposed to. The weather changed. I was going to go Monday and Tuesday, and it was supposed to rain Wednesday. Well, then the weather changed and it was going to rain on Tuesday. So I thought, well, I'm going to at least just stay Monday night, and then we can maybe look around a little bit Tuesday and then head home. And then Sunday night, my sister called and asked if I could take my mom to her doctor's appointment. So I said, okay. And I took her. So that threw us behind getting a late start, getting out there. And then I got home, we got everything packed up, ready to go. And it was like noon, and a listing popped up my wife saw. And we've been trying to find a house, and they are selling so ridiculously quick. I mean, we'll see a listing, call the realtor, and they've already got 6 showings scheduled before we can even get a showing. So anyway, she called the realtor to see if we could get us go look at it. And then we had to wait to find out on that. And then she finally called back and said she had a showing at 4:15. So that's late in the day. So, and it was in Hillsboro, which is the opposite direction, really. So we got down there, we looked at the house. We actually liked it, made an offer, but we didn't get it. But I realized that I had forgot to bring a lighter. So ran to the store real quick, got matches, and I forgot to bring my jacket, and it was supposed to get pretty cold. So we stopped at a Goodwill, and I got me just a long sleeve shirt so I could keep warm. And then I looked it up on Google, and it said we were going to get there right at sunset. So I thought, oh, great. Well, my wife's like, isn't there a closer place we can go? And I was like, well, I really want to check this place out. And I said, well, let's just go ahead and go. So we got there just at sunset, and it started getting dark quick. We were trying to get the tent put up, and we ended up having to put our headlamps on to even see what we were doing. And what it is this Old Stone Church Trailhead is where it was at. It's a trail that's for horseback riding and ATVs, and it's only open from April to October for the horseback and everything, but it's supposed to be open year round for hikers. So they have a gate across there. It's a loop that goes back where you drive back off of the road, and it just circles around and comes back. And they have a gate across, so you can't drive back there. So we had to park at the gate, and I anticipated something like that. So I have a little fold up dolly. So I brought it, loaded everything on the dolly, took it way back there to get to it. And we went back and just hurried up, threw the tent up. And by then, it was like 9 o'clock by the time we really got everything ready. And then we lit a campfire, and we sat around that for a little bit, cooked some hot dogs, and my dog snatched one of them before I could even get it cooked. I wasn't looking. It was while I was setting up the recorder. I set we had those forks that you put the hot dogs on, and I set it on the chair and went over and set up the recorder. When I come back, there was a hot dog missing. He had snatched one of them while I wasn't looking. But
are you sure it was your dog?
I'm pretty sure it was him. But anyway,
I'm teasing.
Yeah. So he got that, and then we ate the hot dogs, and then I think it was like 10:30. My wife said she was pretty tired. She's ready to go in the tent. So we went in the tent, and we were just laying in the tent, and she was reading listings about different houses. We're still looking, and she was reading. We heard, I may have to post that in the group too. I heard this owl call. I heard it several times, and I've looked and looked.
Do you know what kind of owl it was?
No, that's why I was
a barred owl.
No, that's why I was wanting to post it, because I've looked and looked, and I cannot find a match for that call. I don't know what kind of owl it was, but I'm pretty sure it sounded like an owl, but it just wasn't something I recognized. And I can't find anything that even sounds like it. But I have that recorded. So anyway, we heard that. Other than that, we didn't really hear anything. And then let's see, I think it was about 11:30. No, it was around midnight. It's around midnight when we heard that howl. You can hear it was funny because where she says architectural type bungalow, and right when she says bungalow, that's when the howl started. And she's just reading away, and all of a sudden she heard that and she stopped, and then she whispered, she goes, "Is that Bigfoot?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I've never heard anything like that." I thought it was coyotes at first, but after listening to it back, it's too low pitch. It doesn't. And we had coyotes around the house for years, and we heard them all the time. I've never heard anything similar to that at all. Nothing that low pitch. But it did sound like coyotes were joining in. It sounded like I heard the howl like twice, and then I think it's like the third time you can hear them. It sounds like they're joining it, like or reacting to it or whatever. You can hear. Sounds like coyotes, and you also hear some dogs barking. But my dog, he just sat up and looked at us and like, what is that? He didn't really show much of a reaction. Didn't really.
I was going to ask how the dog reacted to it.
And surprisingly, my wife, it didn't scare her too bad. I mean, she wasn't like she said we need to get out of here or anything like that. She just wondered what it was, and
brave
I said, I don't know what it was. I mean, it didn't sound like it was right real close. It sounded like it was a little ways off, whatever it was. And it was.
Did you have external microphones connected to your recorder?
I had. I just had
this.
this.
The recorder itself. Okay.
In fact,
all right. So you didn't have an external microphone.
In fact, let me see if I can pull this up. I got if I can figure out how to do this. I got a picture I could show. I've already forgotten how I did this with the sharing the pictures, but I've got a picture. If I can find it, I'll keep talking while I'm doing it. There's a picture that shows where the campfire is, and you can see a little light.
Great.
You can see a little light in the distance, and that's actually this recorder. So that would kind of help.
Oh, okay.
Help you get an idea.
Very good.
I would guess it was around 100 feet from where our tent was. It was a big log that where a tree had fallen down. It was laying there, and that's what I set it on, was on that log.
Okay.
And yeah, it picks up really good because you could hear us talking in the tent from that far away.
Yeah, definitely. What was the weather like?
It was a little chill. I think it was like 45 degrees, something like that.
Okay.
And it was really clear. Well, it wasn't clear. That you could see, it seemed like there's some clouds blocking the moon, but it was pretty nice weather, really. Not too bad.
Okay.
A little chilly.
Okay. Do you remember whether it was a full moon or a new moon?
Well, I never did see the moon. I mean, there's a lot of trees, and it looked like I don't think it had rose yet when we before we went in the tent.
Okay.
And then later on, when we ended up tearing down, I looked and it looked like it was behind some clouds. So I think it was a full moon or pretty close to it.
Okay. Did you stay the night then when you heard the audio?
Well, what happened was when my wife was filling up the air mattress right before we went to bed, I heard a loud pop, and I think it was like one of the seams let loose or something. And when we got in there and got on the air mattress, it was flat within like a half hour. And I didn't really pay attention. We put up the tent in the dark, so I just picked a spot. It didn't look flat. That's all I was looking at. And it turned out there's like a big lump there where my wife was, once because we had an air mattress, I wasn't worried about it. But then once the air mattress went flat, she was like laying on this lump. And so she said she didn't think she'd be able to sleep. And then it was about, let's see, I think it was about 1:30. Yeah, it was around 1:30. We hadn't really slept. We were talking and stuff, and we heard a car go by a little before that. Oh, yeah, let me tell you, after the howl, it was like a half hour after that howl, we heard well, my dog, he jumped up and he started growling. I mean, just instantly, he was sound asleep. And all of a sudden he jumped up and started growling. And he did this bark where he goes, "Oh, oh," like that. That's what he does when he's not sure. If he thought he heard
Right.
something, but he's not sure.
Mhm.
And, we didn't hear anything. So I was wondering what he was growling at. And then he laid back down and, didn't think nothing about it. Well, the next day when I listened to the recording, at that point, I heard these footsteps on the microphone. I could hear footsteps real quiet, and then a twig snap. And that's where he jumps up and barks.
Wow. Okay.
And it stops for quite a while. And then you hear him walking again, and they just like walk away. And it could have been a deer. I don't know. Hard to tell what it was.
It's
but
hard to tell whether it's
yeah,
bipedal.
but I thought that
Right.
must have been what he was reacting to.
Interesting.
He must have heard the twig snap or something.
Right.
But
How long have you been using the recorder?
well, I got it. I think I showed you at YouTube. I used to do a lot of YouTube videos with playing the guitar, and that's what I got it for originally.
Oh, okay.
But it works really
Very
well
good.
for recording
good.
outside.
Very good. And so you did leave then
Well,
during the night.
after he did the bark and the ground, all that, it was like another half hour later. It was about 1:30 in the morning. Well, just before that, we heard a car go by, driving really slow, and it kept sounding like it was like stop for a second, then it would go on, then it would stop. And I had my cameras out in the car, so I was kind of concerned, somebody messing around, because the car was quite a ways from where our tent was. We had to walk way back there to get to where the campsite was. So, we were listening to that, and then it sounded like it left. And then a little bit later, heard another car go by, because the way the campsite is, where that gate is off of the road continues on up a hill and then curves around. It goes right close to where our tent is. The actual road is not too far away from the campsite. It's up on top of a hill from where the campsite is, but it's pretty close. So anyway, we heard a car going by really slow. So we were
That's
listening.
unnerving.
Yeah, and then we thought we saw a light flicker on the tent. And then we heard the car stop, and we heard a car door, like somebody got out. And I said something to my wife that I sounded like I heard a car door. And then we saw a light flash on the tent, flashlight. And then we could hear footsteps coming right up to the tent. And my dog, he was asleep. And then we heard a guy start talking. As soon as he started talking, my dog was going nuts, barking. So I couldn't hear anything he was saying, but I thought I heard him say sheriff. So I said, well, hold on a minute, I'm coming out. And I had to get my shoes on, and I crawled out of the tent, and it was the sheriff. And he was trying to say the campground was closed. And I said, no, it's open for hiking. And he goes, what, really? He goes, well, I need to check that out, because I thought it was closed. And I said, no, it's not. And so then the next day I actually called the forest office and asked them, and they said, yeah, it's open for hiking, not.
Oh, so this is the sheriff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, better them than somebody else.
So that was another exciting thing.
Harm.
Yeah, at least it wasn't some
wow, that was an exciting night.
That's why I've told people that scared me worse than that noise. Just hearing somebody walking up to your tent at 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say Sasquatch is the least of our worries in the woods. So
yeah.
Let me ask you so you said that your wife didn't freak out, didn't
No, I
Him
mean,
to leave, didn't,
no, I mean, it scared her, but after it quit, she was fine. And then
well, I commend you too, both of you.
she said
I
she'd go
don't know
back
how I would handle
because I want to
that.
go back down there. And she said she would go back, but when I go out at night, she's going to stay in the car with the dog. She won't go out at night. But
Well,
anyway,
I got, go
uh,
ahead, I'm sorry.
I after that happened, after the sheriff left, I just finally said, I said, Uncle, I said, you want to just go ahead and pack up and go
Yeah,
home? And she's like, yes.
who
So
could blame you?
I said, okay. So we went out, we got out of the tent and we started packing everything up. And she went out to the car. Well, I was tearing down the tent. She took a bunch of stuff out to the car. I walked out there with her, and then the dog stayed there with her while I went back. And when I got back, I just for being funny, I did a couple wood knocks, and I started taking the tent down. And while I was taking the tent down, I heard these two loud screams. I mean, they
Oh,
sounded,
really?
yeah, they sounded pretty far off, but it was happened twice fairly close together. And I hurried up, grabbed the recorder and turned it back on, but I didn't hear them anymore after that.
Right.
So
Wow, interesting.
then
So
we
let
didn't
me
get home
ask
till
you.
5 a.m. from there.
That was a long night.
Yeah.
Wow, probably slept all day. I would be.
We slept till
Uh,
noon. Yeah.
Let me ask you, and there's no right answer to this, of course. No, it's only an opinion. But so, in your mind, what do you think produced the vocals?
The vocals. I wish I did. I wish I did know. I really wish I had an answer. Like I said, when it was happening, I thought, well, it could be coyotes, but like I said, we had them all around where we lived, heard them all the time. We camped out lots of times and heard them. Never heard anything like that. And
Right.
I searched on YouTube for coyote howls, and I listened to all different ones, and none of them are anything like that. They're all high pitched.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I will say that my husband and my husband owns property, and we go out starting usually in March. So that's the end of the coyote breeding season. And we collected in firewood. Yeah, we hear coyotes often, a lot. And I've never heard anything.
Well, I did.
That
I
was
had somebody comment.
pretty intense.
Somebody commented. I don't know if it was in that group or in another group. I posted it in like 3 different groups. Just really just wanting to get people's feedback to see
Really appreciate it.
what they thought it might be. And one guy said, "Oh yeah, that's coyotes, absolutely." He said, "I hear them
Yeah.
all the time at my house. I hear them all the time, and that's what they sound like." And I said, "Well, since you hear them all the time, how about you catch one on with your cell phone and share it with us? Let me
Right.
hear one that sounds just like that, because I
Right.
can't find it."
I believe that someone in the group, I do want to thank you so much for posting that. I want to give a shout out to Doug Gates, who he's been so kind to point me in directions of things of interest for Ohio, for especially for Monroe County, and of course the Wayne Nationals in Monroe County. I didn't realize it covered 12 counties in Ohio. But I want to thank you very much. Anytime somebody puts a photograph or a video or audio, they're taking a chance of being scrutinized. And I really do appreciate them risking
Well, that's why when I
themselves. And
posted it,
thank you so much.
I didn't say, listen to this Bigfoot.
Right.
I just wanted to post it, share the sound, and let people give their opinions. And like I said, if somebody says it's coyote, well, then can you show me something, a recording you've got of a coyote that sounds like that? Because I can't find it.
Right. I actually, someone said that they thought it was a wolf, a gray wolf. And
Yeah,
I said, well,
that's more believable, but
here's what I've found. the vocals of the gray wolf. If you can find something that's closer to what is in that audio, please post it. Because whatever was in there, whatever made that sound had to settle on its own. Yeah, definitely it was extremely loud. And it sounds like it just picked up the recorder and just screamed right into it. I couldn't, yeah.
It was incredibly
wow.
loud. It was
Yeah,
incredibly
it was,
loud.
I can't imagine being there. and hearing
Because
that.
it was from where we were in the tent, it sounded like somebody had set up speakers all around the tent and was blasting it full blast. That's how loud it was.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for introducing me to Zoom
Oh, you're welcome.
and for your time. And I do hope that we talk again. Keep us updated. I'm so grateful and thankful that you're in the group. Now, I don't know if you were a member before.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, great. Well, great. I'm so thankful. I saw you join.
Yeah.
And I didn't think you were a member before, but
Yeah, because I'm over
I
by
really
Indiana.
appreciate it.
I'm over by the Indiana side of the state, but
Okay.
I'm getting
Well,
out that way.
Well, it sounds like you're making your way all over the Ohio. So I hope you can make the camp out.
Yeah.
I said I posted your wife or whoever, anybody and everybody welcome. And I just thank you so much for your time.
You're
This
welcome.
has been a great experience.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy on YouTube called Thinker Thunker.
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to get the sound to him or I would really like to know what software he uses, because I think that is really what we need, is to have that sound put on some kind of a spectral analysis that will show it compared to a wolf, a coyote, a dog, and see if it's anywhere close to any of those. Because they're, like he says, it's kind of like a sonic fingerprint. So that would, show one way or the other. Yes, it's a coyote, or it's absolutely not a coyote. I would like to do that and find out, because I just want the truth.
Right, exactly. We all do. And that I did say that on a comment. I did comment back to someone that I am praying that it goes into the hands of somebody that can analyze it.
Yeah.
And then come back. Then if you would hear from that, come back and excuse me.
Wait, what was that?
Yeah,
we need to analyze it.
If you would come back and grace us with an answer, that would be fantastic.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you.
bless you and your wife.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right.
Keep watching.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's see. Now I got to figure out how to shut it off.